Hi there and welcome to My Week. I'm Christy McDonald. We are so glad that you are with us. Republican or Democrat, let's face it, you were tuning into the coverage of the Republican convention in Cleveland this week. Would it be a brokered convention? Would there be chaos? Is this really the demise of the Republican Party? What would Donald Trump say next? There has been no shortage of headlines from Cleveland as well, from speech plagiarism to lack of diversity among the speakers. We're going to talk about it all, plus what Democrats can expect next week with our My Week roundtable. You will meet them in just a few minutes, but we are going to start with our MiWeek contributor, Nolan Finley, the editorial page editor of the Detroit News, who is in Cleveland for the convention. He's been in the middle of it all, and he joins me now. Stephen Henderson has the week off this week. He's not down there with you, is he, Nolan?
Yeah, I snuck him in.
All right, why don't you go ahead and just give us a sense of what it's been like there covering it. What would you say the tone of this convention has been?
It's unlike any convention I've been to. This is my 9th. Next week will be my 10th in Philadelphia. And usually you come in here and they're really prepackaged affairs. There's very little drama at a convention. And I think Howard and some of the others on your panel there would agree that the goal at a convention is no drama. And there has been something grabbing the headlines every night. You had the rules fight on day one. Very loud, very boisterous, very demonstrative of the divided Republican Party. Last night you had Ted Cruz took the podium, gave a very powerful speech, very good speech. People were cheering throughout, and then it came down to the end. It became evident he was not going to vote or endorse Donald Cruz. He said to the delegates, "Vote your conscience." And at that point, the place just erupted with people shouting, endorse Trump, keep your pledge. I was sitting up in one of the RNC suites with what has to be considered the most establishment Republicans, and even they were shouting at Cruz. So, I mean, this thing has been unusual to say the least.
But if the goal of a convention is to bring everybody together, do you think the Republicans, I mean, do they have one more night to get their act together and be on the same page, or what?
I guess. I mean, a lot of it depends on the speech Trump delivers, but I don't think they leave here united at all. In fact, I'm writing a column for tomorrow that says the strong undercurrent of this convention is a missed opportunity. A lot of Republicans here think this was their best chance to retake the White House. They're running against a very flawed candidate, a candidate with very high negatives coming off of the FBI investigation, in which more than half Americans think she should have been indicted, and they're posting the only candidate in the field with higher negatives than Hillary Clinton. So there is a sense of squandered opportunity here.
What does Donald Trump have to say in his speech on Thursday night, do you think?
I don't think it's as much what he says as how he presents himself. He's got to be presidential, and that's what we write today in our editorial. And a lot of people are afraid of this guy, and a lot of people, think, wow, his temperament is really questionable. And the tactics he used in the primary, the bully tactics and the name calling, I don't think that reassures voters that this is a guy who could sit in the Oval Office and they can be comfortable with that. So I think he has to appear presidential, and I think that's a big challenge for him.
But if he can't even get all the Republicans on board with him, I mean, what chance do Republicans then have to get independents, get some Democrats to come over and win a general election?
Who knows? I mean, this is there's so many variables in this election that are unpredictable. Again, the unpopularity of Hillary Clinton. So does this come down to an election of who you like least? There are going to be a lot of voters. I keep hearing, Republican operatives tell me this week that the polling is missing a lot of support from folks who normally don't vote but will come out to vote for Donald Trump. There's some predictions that it'll be a 2010 type election where the pundits and the pollsters miss what turned out to be a wave election, a movement election. But I don't know. I can't predict. I think you do have probably a quarter of the Republicans here who won't vote for Donald Trump, and you have a lot of Republicans who aren't here. John Kasich, governor of Ohio, this is his state. He's hosting the convention. He is not speaking at the convention. Rick Snyder had a video presentation, and that's it. None of the Bushes are here. Mitt Romney's not here. John McCain's not here. There's a large swath of the party that's not in Cleveland.
Nolan, talk to me a little bit about the Michigan delegation, how the convention is going over for them, where maybe some of the money might be shaking out in Michigan for the Republicans.
Well, I mean, a lot of big Republican donors, as I wrote yesterday, a lot of the big Republican donors sitting on their wallets this year. They are not writing a check to the Trump campaign. In fact, the Trump campaign is not even doing fundraising, which is very unusual. The campaign, the RNC, is fundraising both for Trump and for itself. And a lot of donors are either not writing checks or writing checks to the RNC for use partially by the presidential campaign, but also by the congressional candidates, state races, et cetera. And a lot of people, particularly in the Michigan delegation, who normally write big checks, are writing checks to the Michigan party in an effort to save the state house. I mean, there's real fear about what happens down the ticket if this turns out to be a rout of Trump in November.
You know, there are also little storylines that also come out during the convention. And I think all the coverage that I've seen looking at the Michigan delegation, I can't see a picture without, I see Bill Schuette serving coffee to Republicans at every single breakfast there is. Talk to us a little bit about some of the other political storylines that are weaving around the Michigan delegation down in Cleveland this week.
Well, Snyder comes in an hour, or comes in Thursday morning. He came in Thursday morning for a brunch with the Michigan delegation. He didn't go to the convention hall, but he is really stepping up his political engagement, as I wrote today, this season. I mean, he does not want this House election to be a referendum on him. And he knows that if he loses the House, his chances of getting the things he wants done, particularly in Flint, um, become much, much slimmer. And so you have that dynamic. Bill Schuette is all over the place. I mean, he's the de facto leader of the Republican Party in Michigan, and he's clearly um, building his 2018 gubernatorial campaign. I haven't seen a whole lot of Brian Kelly, but you see Bill Schuette everywhere.
All right, so we have just this one last night, and you'll be heading out on Friday and then heading to Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, Kid Rock tonight, baby.
Well, you can't miss that. You cannot miss that. All right, Nolan, we look forward to seeing you, and we'll hear from you next week when you are in Philly with the Democrats. Looking forward to it. Thanks.
Okay, see you then.
You got it.
Thank you.